Hey guys, in today's video, we're going to talk about how to become a digital nomad and work remotely from the road. And I don't mean, how to get a job doing that. I mean, how to build out a rig that enables you to actually get work done while you're traveling. Hey everyone, it's Ryan here. Today I wanted to talk about working remotely and how I built out my cargo trailer. Her name is Margot, specifically with the intention of working remotely and not just being mobile, but I mean actually getting work done and having a comfortable environment that I can connect to the internet and get my day job done so that I can travel all over the country. So first things first, I am in cybersecurity, so I needed a comfortable office environment in Margot. So I prioritize, comfort and space and lighting. And I'm going to step through and show you some photographs and some video of my work area. But I just wanted to point out that having, sufficient room for a desk, big enough for an office chair, is something I considered pretty basic and important. And I usually, when I'm working, have two laptops going. I have one going for my day job and then my own laptop for researching and doing things on the internet. So I needed enough desk space to have two laptops and of course, two mouse pads and all of that type of thing going at the same time. The other big one was internet access and having, a cellular modem in order to get internet access wherever there's a faint signal. So that was a huge one. Power in general to enable all of that. So I have 1,000 watts of solar panels on the roof and I have 400 amp hours of battery array. And so I put a lot of time and money into batteries. So I want to talk about that a little bit more. And then the other one is, it's not work specific, but motorcycle hauling. Keeping in mind that Margot is to haul a motorcycle, because to me it's pointless to travel and go all over the country seeing the national parks and having all this fun if I can't take my toys with me, because I want to see the national parks and on motorcycles. So a good portion of the space in my cargo trailer is dedicated to having room for my motorcycle. Okay, so those were the most important things: plenty of power, internet, a comfortable, desk office environment with great lighting, and overall spaciousness. I have a 8.5 foot wide cargo trailer. The ceilings are 7 feet high and the overall length is 18, and it weighs about 6,000 pounds, which is fairly heavy, but I was not willing to sacrifice on space. So let me just grab the camera here and give you a really fast tour. Okay. So this is my sleeping area. I've done some upgrades recently. I've got a new TV, I got this shelf here. I've just mounted a TV, which is actually just hanging from some wire. I've got a shelf for speakers and a DVD player. This is my water storage in here and a closet, which is not full yet. This is more storage up here. We've got a shower. We've got a sitting area, more storage over here. Propane hot water heater. This is the shower and toilet area behind this curtain. My kitchen, which is pretty good size. It's 6 feet wide roughly. That's my refrigerator down there. And on the left side here, that's water tanks, gray water and fresh water storage. And some basic shelving to start with. And then this is the door. There's my Wi-Fi router up there. And here's my desk area without the chair. So that is big enough for two laptops, believe it or not, and I've done it, so I know. Got a shelf here, got plenty of power, and then just more storage for motorcycle gear. Essentially, all of my stuff can be up there. I've got my map of the United States so I can plan my trips. I've got more clothes storage here for my riding jacket and things like that. And then this whole left side is dedicated. That's a wheel chock for the motorcycle. So the motorcycle goes right in the area and gets strapped down to these E-tracks right here. And what you haven't seen is what powers the whole thing, which is my inverter, charge controller, my batteries and everything right there. And it looks a little chaotic, and I'll do another video on that. So that is a very basic walkthrough. So with that done, let's just roll through and talk about some of the features that enables making this a mobile rig. Okay, the single most important thing that's going to make or break it for you if you're trying to have a mobile work rig is having plenty of power. Now, I wanted to get away from crowds. I do not like being around people. I don't like campgrounds generally that are crowded. I don't want to be in RV parks if I can avoid it. So aside from overall spaciousness, the single biggest make or break factor for me was having lots of power. As I mentioned, I have 400 amp hours of batteries and 1,000 watts of solar panels up on the roof. So I would say if you want to have a mobile rig, you absolutely need to think through your power needs, do an assessment of all the devices you have that are going to draw power, and I'll link to it underneath in the description of the video, but there are spreadsheets that you can get that's going to show you exactly how much power you need, and then you have to size your system accordingly. Because without sufficient power, you really can't do anything. So, having two laptops and a Wi-Fi router and lights going and, a microwave and all of these things, takes a lot of power. So I spent, besides the trailer itself, which I bought used for about $4,500, I spent close to about that same amount, $4,000 on the components for my solar system. But that will allow me, if I'm in an area like in the desert, I want to do a lot of camping in like Southern California, Arizona, and New Mexico primarily, the western half of the US. I wanted to have enough battery that as long as I got some sun during the day, that I would have enough, input to fill up the batteries. And I have a generator that I spent another almost $600 on as a backup that I could run for about an hour a day to kind of boost the batteries if it's an overcast situation. So that's the absolute most important thing, is having plenty of power. That will allow me to recharge my batteries a number of times, so that can help. And then I can just decouple the cargo trailer from my truck and run into town and, get 5 more gallons of gas if I need to. So having a generator that runs off both propane and gas can really help you out when working remotely in a boondocking scenario. Another thing that was really important to me is trying to use propane as much as possible to help draw as little power as possible. So I have propane for my hot water heater, for cooking, for my heater. I've got a space heater that runs on propane that pulls from two 40-pound tanks. So I have 80 pounds of propane out on the bullnose, and I thought the more propane I can use, the better. So that's why I didn't go like with an electric stove or an electric hot water heater or something like that, because that means I could get away with having less panels. And I pretty much filled my roof with panels. I've got 10 100-watt panels. I've really only got room for about 2 more. So propane was a big factor in allowing me to, size my system. Okay, let's talk about internet access. It's important for me to stay connected to my job since I'm in information security, cybersecurity. So I bought a MoFi router, which I'm going to show you right now. Let me turn this camera around again. This is my MoFi router. It's a cellular router and a Wi-Fi station. And I have 2 SIM cards. Sorry, let me put the camera back down on its tripod. Okay, so that MoFi router has a SIM card slot, and I have 2 SIM cards, one for Verizon and one for AT&T, because in the western half of the country, I found that both of those services, some are better than others in different locations, and even though it's expensive to have 2 data plans, I'm spending almost $200 a month just for cell phone coverage, while between my cell phone on Verizon, one wireless line for Verizon, and then one AT&T line, that's over $200 just for cellular service. But since I'm in cybersecurity, without internet, I can't work. So this entire thing is, not only is it predicated on having enough power, but it's predicated on having enough cellular. So I've got the MoFi router. I also have a couple of antennas that I can put up on a pole with a cell signal booster, but I haven't had to use that yet. So far, I've been in locations where my just this MoFi router with the built-in antennas has been sufficient to get work done. But I'm going to be going on a trip soon to New Mexico and Arizona, and I'll really put that to the test. I may have to run the pole up with a directional antenna and a booster to get a cell signal. But that's fine. I just schedule my visits and the locations that I go to based on where it has decent cellular service, okay? So if you're going to be a remote worker, really important to have good cellular and plenty of power. Okay, let's talk about just creature comforts. It's really important for me to have, as I mentioned before, a good sized desk for 2 laptops. I wanted overall spaciousness. You know, I can spin around in this thing, sort of. It's pretty good size, 18 feet long. And so that was important to me because if you're inside working all day in a little box, you know, you want some windows and you want some good lighting and you want some spaciousness. So I went with an 18-foot cargo trailer, which is pretty big and pretty heavy. But I didn't want to be crammed into a little 6-foot by 10-foot thing that I see a lot of people doing. Not when I'm going to be spending weeks on end working inside my rig. Okay. So spaciousness is a big one. A really comfortable office chair, even though it's kind of bulky and heavy. I bring the one from my house into the trailer when I'm traveling. So that's really important. I also have all my lights on dimmer switches. I've got 3 different circuits. See that? I can just dim the lights here. So I have a cluster of like 5 bulbs that controls one side of the cargo trailer. I've got another cluster that controls the other side of the cargo trailer. And then in the front, I have a 3rd cluster on a dimmer. So I can really adjust the lighting to suit my needs. And I put a lot of thought into where, let me show you here. You can see the lights up on the ceiling there. They're kind of in line. I put a lot of thought into making sure that like my lights are above the desk or, you know, above a reading area, and that I wouldn't, you know, my big head wouldn't be throwing shadows inappropriately. So I really diagrammed out and experimented with where the LED bulbs are. So lighting is a really important factor. So think that through if you're trying to create a mobile work rig. Now, some of the other things, you know, a shower is important, which I have a shower that has a 21-gallon tank. So I can do, you know, 4 or 5 really quick showers before I need to refill. I can also just take, you know, a gallon of water and dump it over my head. I also have a solar shower bag. But in general, the shower and the toilet consideration for me was lower on the priority list. Having the big office and spaciousness was much more important. So I have a camping toilet and the small shower. And as you can see, my kitchen here, it's not massive, but it's got a 2-burner gas cooktop. Sorry, adjust my camera here. So that works pretty well. Plus it has a microwave and it's got a really good 12-volt refrigerator, an IceCo refrigerator, which is really big actually. So I can bring plenty of food. And you know, I'm not a gourmet cook, so I don't need much for a kitchen. So I guess the bottom line is I prioritize the kitchen a little bit lower on my list than everything else because, you know, as a single guy who's traveling around by myself, I'm not trying to be a chef. Bottom line. And then the 4th thing that I mentioned is plenty of space to haul my motorcycle. I have a Honda NC 700X, which is a pretty good sized bike. It weighs about 550 pounds. It's not just, you know, a light, small dirt bike. It's a pretty substantial machine. So I've got plenty of space for that. And I did my bed. I wanted a decent sized bed as well. But the bed is a Murphy bed. It folds up against the wall and all the electrical and everything is underneath it, hidden out of the way. And I can also do storage underneath the bed as well. But now that I have cabinets and stuff that I installed recently, I don't need so much storage under the bed because I have plenty of cabinetry and shelving now. What else? So fresh water supply, as I mentioned, I've got 21 gallons for the shower. I have 12 gallons of fresh for the kitchen with a little foot pump. So I just use, you know, small trickles of water in the kitchen, and that's going into gray water tanks that I can go dump out. My next upgrade is going to be a stereo, like a nice car stereo with 4 big 6x9 speakers in the corners, because I want to be able to, you know, crank my Metallica or Rush or, you know, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd. I want to get Dark Side of the Moon sounding really good in here. Because that's what I like. I like music. Oh, and I'm also bringing a guitar as well on my next trip. I have 2 guitars, but I didn't bring either of them on my last trips. So this trip I'm going to be bringing my guitar. I got to find a place to hang that on the wall. I'm also traveling now with a 1-wheel. I'll have more videos on that soon. So I've got basically everything that I need. And I just put a lot of time and effort into prioritizing my needs. And for me, it's about having plenty of power, cellular, a workspace that's comfortable and bright, a comfortable bed, sufficient entertainment, my toys, with the basics for cooking and crapping and showering, right? One other thing that I would like to mention is about air conditioning and ventilation. It's really important, especially if you're using propane, to have good ventilation. So I splurged and I got a really nice air conditioner. This unit up here, it's a Coleman Mach 10. I don't know, it's a very quiet one. Oh, and then I have a fantastic fan right here, which gives me a lot of light. And it's even got a remote control, so I can do something like this, where it just beeps, it opens up, starts cranking. Sorry about the noise. I've got some leaves and stuff stuck up in there, that's why it's so loud. And then I can control the speed of it with this remote. So that's essentially it. I just wanted to share some of the secrets, some of the things that you may need to think through if you're going to build a digital nomad, rig, so that you can work anywhere, go anywhere in the country, and have a whole lot of fun. So think through your power needs, get plenty of solar, spend the money you need to, and do it right. And if you have a really small budget and you can't do it right, I would say probably better to hold off a little bit, save up, and spend what you need. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a rig that's not really meeting your needs in any of these important areas. Okay, so that's my mobile lifestyle rig, Margot. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share the video if you know someone who might find this helpful. So thanks so much. See you soon. Bye bye.